Greetings and salutations, my fellow Illumineers. It is me, your boy JDZ, and I'm back at you again with another stream. The LCCC continues, and we have another fantastic matchup coming your way, again, featuring two prominent powerhouses of the Disney Lorcana space. But this stream is going to be even more special, probably the most special stream that I've ever had, because I have a certified all-star, an absolute Hall of Famer is in the building with me today. I have none other, you know him, you love him, Mr. Frank Karsten. Thank you so much for dropping
Thank you
by.
for that introduction and the kind words. It's
course.
an honor to be here and to be part of this awesome match that we're going to watch. I'm thrilled. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. And at first, I must say, thank you so much for coming here and being here and giving your time. If you guys missed this morning, there was a phenomenal match that happened. Kurt Spice and DKP locked horns, and Frank Karsten was in the building for that one as well with Lorcana Villain, so make sure you get over there and check that one out. I don't want to spoil it too much. I'm sure you probably all know the results by now, but it was a phenomenal match, and if you missed it, please go back and check that out. Frank Karsten provided some phenomenal insight, and as a one-of-a-kind player of your caliber can do. So I want to thank you so much for being here. And where have you been? What's been going on with you, man? It's been a long time since I've seen Frank Karsten locked in a tournament.
The last major tournament that I played in Lorcana was already a while ago. That was the European Continental Championship. But I did win the very first Disney Lorcana Challenge back in May last year in Lille, where I also got an invitation to the upcoming World Championship later this year. So even though I was unable, due to a packed work and travel schedule, to participate in this round of the LCCC, I am looking forward to much more Lorcana this year, and was just planning to watch these awesome matches today, because I mean earlier today we already had two heavyweights in Kurt and DKP really putting up a master class of how to play their Ember Steel and Ruby Sapphire decks. And now it's gonna be just as awesome, and it's great to watch these high level games.
Absolutely.
But I am still mostly involved with Magic the Gathering. To be fair, that's like my main game that I create a lot of content for. But Lorcana has been, ever since it came out, an awesome additional game to pick up, and I have been really enjoying the game, the elegance, the strategic depth, the community, and it's awesome to be part of it.
Nah, champ.
Not to mention the IP. It just brings me so much joy to see all the characters from the movies that I watched as a kid now on the cards.
Absolutely. But we're going to steal you. We're going to get you back. You're going to be full-time Lorcana if I have anything to do with it, man, because I really enjoy your insight. I love what you have to say, and I like your personality as well. And I do follow you a lot, not on Twitter or anything like that, but in the comment section of a lot of tournaments, I'll see you pop in from time to time, and you'll give some feedback in the comment section. And now we got you here in the booth, so I'm excited to get some of that real-time feedback from the DLC champion, man. Are you ready? Are you locked in? You said you haven't got that many rounds in set 7, but the World Championship should be coming up at some point. You are qualified to play in that tournament. What is going to be your process to prepare to get ready to engage with some of these players that you have right here in this tournament today?
For a large part, it's actually just watching games, as I indeed did, for example, this past weekend at the Oslo Meisterschaft, a great tournament that was being streamed. Just theorizing in general. I don't always have the opportunity to play all that much, but I will certainly, put in the preparation I can whenever we get all the details.
Okay.
I do hope for an awesome year coming up of competitive Lorcana for sure.
Absolutely. It's going going to be a good time, and I think you're going to be in the right spot. You're going to have a cool deck, I'm certain. But for this tournament, we have the LCCC. You participate in this event, and this is your first time tuning into the LCCC. You'll understand that it is some of the greatest and best players in the world have coalesced in one event. Typically, it starts right after the set comes out, and they have to put a deck into the fray, and they play a tournament. Well, now there has been a change since there was this banning of Hiram Faversham and Fortisphere. Now the players were allowed to change their deck list and then get back into the dojo and play against each other. And for that, we have the first matchup that we're going to be covering today, or the second matchup of today, but the matchup we're going to be covering is against two prominent powerhouses that we all know. Frank, you ready to break these deck lists down to see what these players are bringing to this tournament?
Let's show it down how it's all going to work out. Along with the entire bracket.
All right. Here is the bracket. So here is the bracket of this event and how it has broken down so far. The match that we're going to be covering today is the match that is highlighted. It is Speci versus Zan Syed. Speci is going to be playing Amber. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. Amber Amethyst, tongue twister. I don't know why they set that up that way. Versus Zan Syed playing the Ruby Sapphire strategy. We see that Kurt Spice and DKP did play this morning. Kurt Spice does go down, and he puts himself in the position to make it to the losers final. He will be playing the winner of the matchup that we have that we're covering today. While Artabax and Moyen are waiting in the winner's side. A winner of that goes to the finals, and they will meet the winner of Kurt Spice versus the winner of this match in the grand finals. Winner take all. I am excited for it. Oh my goodness, it's going to be an absolute knockdown drag out. I can't wait.
Yeah, and just looking over this bracket, I love how you put Speci in all caps, because when it comes to Spice in terms of deck lists, he certainly has the most unique build out of the six.
Absolutely. And we can bring that up right here. Here is a deck that Speci has brought to this tournament. And I got to say, Speci has become my favorite player in this entire tournament because he has assumed the underdog role. If you look at some of the names of the players that are here, you got a lot of golden Mickeys. There are a lot of DLC winners. There are a lot of worlds qualified players. There are a lot of champions that are in this tournament. Speci doesn't have those things. He is a broadcaster. He is a content creator. That's mainly what he's known for. He's not necessarily fully known for his ability to, as a player. He's known as a content creator, but he can still get out here and mix it up. As we've seen, he's kind of made a deep run through this bracket, taking down some very powerful players and using a nice, unique strategy. But this deck looks really cool. But I have you, Frank Karsten, who I think is one of the best deck builders in the game. I want to hear. I'm sure the people want to hear from you. What do you think about this deck, the ratios, the numbers, the strategy, what he's trying to do? Can you just give me a full breakdown of Speci's deck live?
For strategy, this is going to be all about going aggro, questing for lore as quickly as possible, as rapidly as possible. He has 16 one-drops, which is a lot, and that will mean that he will get out of the gates quickly and consistently with a one-drop on turn one, almost certainly, perhaps even double one-drop on turn two, or this is indeed a very spicy list. He has Lantern, so he might also just go Lantern on turn two, immediately use it to play another one-drop, and then ramp into a 4-drop as early as turn 3. The key 4-drop in Speci's deck, and this is like a new Dual Ink card, is Pascal, Garden Chameleon. Just questing for 3 lore, evasive, putting so much pressure onto the opponent. And also somewhat difficult to answer. With evasive, hard to challenge. With 3 power, it means that it's not going to be touched by Brawl or the big Sisu. And yeah, this is going to be very exciting to see whether that Pascal really has what it takes as one of the many new Dual Ink cards that now have a chance to shine after the Sapphire Steel deck that was so dominant at the beginning of the Set 7 metagame has now been taken out in bans, and it has really opened up for innovation like this. Now, after such an ideal start of let's say turn 1 Daisy, turn 2 Lantern, 1-drop, turn 3 Pascal, maybe then Speci can follow up with well, it really depends on the matchup, but given that he's up against what's going to be Sapphire, Ruby, maybe a library to get some value against the potential Be Prepared, or perhaps even challenge an exerted Grammatala with Daisy and then get value with Rapunzel. And yeah, in terms of curve, it is very low to the ground with a lot of one drops, ending at 5 ink. So that Lantern is not going to be ramping you into enormous late game heavy hitters, but just being able to play your powerful 4 and 5 drops one turn ahead of time can already give a tremendous advantage. Now, looking over the list, there are like a bunch of cards that stand out, both in terms of cards that Speci did include and ones that he did not include.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps he was expecting Zan, his opponent, to play Emerald Steel, a deck that Zan is quite known for. So Speci included cards like Peter Pan, Iago, and Elsa, which are great at challenging Diablo, and also all quite reasonable against other Amethyst decks, which he might have expected to face in the grand finals against say Artabex or Mayan. Um, but those cards, because they don't quest for a whole lot, are not going to be all that great in this particular matchup against Zan. He would have loved surely to have stuff like Genie or Goat or Piglet instead. But even without those inclusions, he has the potential for raw speed, and it's going to be exciting to see if this particular brew will show what it can do.
Absolutely. I love that breakdown, man. I love that analysis. You said everything that I possibly could have wanted to say, but just significantly better. Do I really enjoy that? But I do have one takeaway for Speci. I saw this deck and I didn't see Maleficent 1 in the deck. I thought it was a fake deck. I thought it was a misprint because Speci not playing Maleficent 1, he's playing Amethyst, not playing the Maleficent 1 drop. I don't know if that's real or not, but I have become a huge fan of this Iago card, and I love the 1 drops with the library. Let's see if Speci can make the best out of that. But he's going to have
It
long.
makes sense to me though.
Yeah.
I did see Speci play Maleficent in his previous decks, Amethyst decks, but here he is now adding Ember, which means that you already get Daisy as a 1 drop.
Oh, for sure. No, it's more of a meme because Speci Speci loves Maleficent 1. His is like one of his signature cards, and he didn't play it, so I thought that was really
but
funny.
he already has 16 uninkables in here. Adding more would have been tough.
Okay. Maybe you could have just tossed 1 in just for the memes. Okay, but still,
I would have loved 1. Yes,
yeah, for sure. And okay, but he does have a huge uphill climb that he has to make. He's got one of the best, if not the very best player in the game right here. One of the most accomplished players we have in Digital Lorcana, and none other than Zan Syed, who's going to be playing this Ruby Sapphire deck, very similar to his teammate and friend DKP's deck. You guys saw that this morning on the first game, DKP versus Kurt Spice, but it's a little bit different. He's got some text in there. The 3-time Golden Mickey winner, Worlds Qualified DLC champion. I personally would have bet any sum of money that he would have turned and went back to Emerald Steel because he had so much success on that strategy for this resubmission, but he elected to go to Ruby Sapphire. Can you tell me about this deck, and we can compare this deck to the DKP list, and what do you think some strengths and weaknesses that he gained, and where are some points that he lost with this conversion to this strategy?
So the general strategy of this indeed was unveiled by DKP, who won the DLC in Melbourne with this particular approach of Ruby Sapphire. You're just trying to ramp in the early turns with the Sail, the Tipo, then control the board with Maui Hero to All and Maui Half Shark, just to challenge the opposing characters. And then ideally sweep everything with Be Prepared, drop some MacDuck Manners along the way, and turn the corner. MacDuck Manor also great alongside the Maui Half Shark because, well, the opponent is kind of priced into challenging the location, which means that you unlock the powerful abilities of Maui Half Shark to recur those actions, really putting a multi-pronged attack onto the opponent that way. Now, since that DLC victory for DKP, well, Hiram was banned,
Hmm.
So now people had to go back to the drawing board in terms of like finding a replacement for some sort of mid-game card advantage. And you can see that most players have settled on the 6-drop Tamatoa. You will need to find some popsicles and banish them, but then you can just draw a bunch of cards and refill your resources. Doesn't quite do the same or as powerfully as Hiram did in this deck, but it is notable that this particular list was not as reliant on Hiram as some of the other Ruby Sapphire decks or Sapphire Steel decks, and it is definitely possible to still go full steam ahead with Ruby Sapphire even after the bans, at least in this build of the archetype.
Oh, for
Now,
sure.
as you already mentioned, there are a couple of differences because earlier today we saw DKP actually play against Kurt Spice with his version, which had the Sisu empowered sibling along with All is Found, another ramp card to then get into the 8-drop Sisu, and yeah, let's just try to overpower the opponent that way. Zan's list is quite different. He has retained Brawl, a card that DKP actually cut when he added the big Sisus, and also added Bell, which means that he's going to be better early, but a bit weaker in the late game if it comes to that. In this particular matchup against Speci, I think it's going to be quite valuable to be able to challenge and banish Speci's characters in the early turns. I also have to imagine that Zan was expecting Speci to run some sort of low to the ground fast questing strategy, whether it was with those Maleficents or anything of the form, and it makes sense to choose Bell to then counter exactly that. Now, we've seen before the bans Bell mainly in a list with Popsicle and Fortisphere, where you could play her very consistently on turn one. Here, you know, Popsicle just in your starting 7 cards, there's a 40% chance to have a first copy of a 4 of having Bell and Popsicle together, even after aggressively mulliganing for it, is going to be somewhat difficult. But yeah, with some prudent mulliganing, I reckon that you can still have it some amount of time. And if not, well, like Bell is just inkable,
Hmm.
so it's also fine to have her for the high roll upside. Sometimes you have her with the popsicle, and then if you need to challenge early characters, great. If not, well, she'll just turn into ink. That's fine too. Um, Zan also has 2 Vitalosphere. I'm not sure if he's going to be overly excited to banish that one for Bell
Mm.
because then you really go down on cards. But it will absolutely reinforce those 4 copies. He went to the full play set of Tamatoa for just additional mid game value. So
Absolutely.
it's sort of a different approach, as I mentioned, more early game interaction, more late game power compared to what DKP was doing. But yeah, overall, a coherent list that still has quite a lot of strengths.
I agree. I agree. And this deck is very consistent and very, very powerful still. I kind of like this more low to the ground approach. I think it was, like you said, a very good meta call from Zan bringing it on in. I'm just surprised that he brought this deck, and I'm excited to see how it turns out because I'm certain Zan wants to get this win. But as you know, as the North American player, I got to support my North Americans. You know what I'm saying? I am kind of rooting for both, but I got to lean, you know what I'm saying, towards Zan to pull this off. And it's going to be a very, very difficult matchup. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up both of these deck lists side by side. And who do you think has the advantage going into this matchup? Just looking at decks, all things considered, what do you think is going to take for Zan to win? And then what do you think what do you think it might take for Speci to pull, I'm gonna say, pull the upset?
So when I looked over the decks, I thought that Zan would have a small edge, even though it would be would be close and can easily depend on the die roll and how the opening hands line up. I talked to Speci a little bit. He also felt that Zan was going to be favored. A main threat is going to be Maui Half Shark. That card is just going to be absolutely incredible in this matchup because Maui Half Shark will almost always trade for two, perhaps even more characters on Speci's side, getting back those actions in the process, so generating so much board control and resource advantage at the same time. And Speci doesn't really have any proper answers to it. He's not really in the colors where you have spot removal. I mean, maybe you can. Yeah, this is really going on a stretch. Like combine Elsa along with Merlin Crab to take down the Maui Half Shark in a favorable way, but that just costs so much ink to set up.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, we'll probably even want to stop inking at 5 or 6. So that seems unlikely. And therefore, if Zan will be able to play Maui Half Shark on turn 4 or 5, that's quite reasonable with all the ramp in his deck. Then I think he will be ahead because it will just dissuade Speci from questing altogether. An early Be Prepared from Zan could also be quite devastating, especially if Speci is not able to put a bunch of characters into the library beforehand to protect against it. But if at the same time, if Zan does not get any of those key cards, and especially if Speci is going to be on the play, then Speci may hold an advantage due to all of his evasive questers. I do think that Pascal is going to be a huge card because it will be very difficult for Zan to contain an early Pascal. Maui Hero to All doesn't work because
Mm-hmm.
Pascal has evasive. Brawl doesn't work because Pascal has 3 strength. Um, Maui Half Shark could be an answer, but then again, Speci can quest with Pascal, then play a Mim, bounce it, replay the Pascal, and just have it ready and safe from any challenges. So Be Prepared is the main reliable way to take it down. And then, yeah, again, I'm very excited to see the power of Pascal and see how that actually plays out in the games because it's such a new card giving a new direction to this color pair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but still, evaluating it all, I reckon that Zan still has an edge. It is notable though that even though Zan has like the bell and the brawl to contain some early questing aggression from Speci, there's no super goof to
Mm-hmm.
worry about. There's also no big Sisu to worry about. If Zan's list would have included all that, like completely going against like completely tuning the list against aggro strategies, I'm sure that it would be a complete walkover. But here, Speci still has a reasonable shot.
Eh,
As
oh.
for like interesting like mid game contention points, it may revolve around whether Speci will be able to refill his hand, especially after the Be Prepared, because yeah, you may commit a lot of characters to the board trying to quest. If they all get swept up, you may not have many cards remaining. And Speci doesn't have a whole lot in the way of card draw. Rapunzel, excellent card, but difficult to get value
Yeah.
unless Zan is perhaps a bit careless and leaves Speci with an opportunity to challenge an exerted Bell or Grammatala with Daisy Duck. Then Rapunzel might be able to do a lot. Otherwise, yeah, it is almost impossible to get damage on your characters in this matchup. The library could be a huge element in this matchup, drawing just additional cards against the Be Prepared, or like combining with, say, Diablo and Magic Broom to just refill. But Zan will surely also be aware of that, and if he can maneuver into a position where he always has, say, a Maui Hero to all, or any character with Vitalosphere to immediately rush down the library to deny all that potential card draw to Speci, then yeah, he can also answer that. But yeah,
Okay.
overall, I would give the advantage to Zan.
Okay. Zan with the advantage. But I'm telling you, every time Speci gets into this match, he always is at a disadvantage and he always finds a way. And we did see this morning, again, I don't want to spoil too much, but we saw how effective that Daisy Duck can be versus this new Ruby Sapphire deck. If Speci can come out here and just go Daisy, Daisy, Lantern, Pascal, just daisies and lanterns and Pascals, and just kind of do some crazy stuff there and just get a bunch of lore on the board, and those daisies send a bunch of items and actions to the bottom of the deck. Maybe there's a chance you can just aggro town and get there before it's too late. But I can't count on Speci because I won't do it again. But I do agree with everything you said, and I think that insight was absolutely spot on. And I'm glad you're here, man. It makes it so much easier for me when I got a absolute legend out here give you guys that free information. So make sure you're paying attention and listening to what the DLC champion is saying. And with that, I have a special update, never before seen, fresh, hot off the press, coming in. I asked the DLC champ, I say, Frank, had you played in the LCCC under these same conditions, what deck would you submit? Granted, the champ said he hasn't been playing too much set 7 right now, but we have a quick contribution coming in. Stay tuned. Keep it locked. This is an exclusive. Here is the deck right there that Frank Karsten would have cooked up to bring to this tournament. And again, Frank, I know you haven't been playing too much, Mr. Karsten. Can you just talk about this deck and talk about Amber Steel, and also just talk about some of your theories? I want to get into some of this mathematical, non-Newtonian physics. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into some of this. No, no, I'm kidding.
So yeah, this whole deck is exactly inspired by Newton's second law of motion. No.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about.
But it is somewhat inspired by hypergeometric calculations on ink curves to optimize the possibility of using all of your ink resources every turn. But all craziness aside, I indeed haven't been able to play as much Lorcana recently, so take this list with a bit of caution. But it's something that I had built earlier. In general, I love the Steel Song deck. It's the deck that I won my I actually have it here. Won my trophy with back at the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Lille. Very proud of that, and I loved the gameplay. I think when you are going to go to a major tournament and don't really know what to play, if the metagame is somewhat balanced, which I hope or expect it will be, going for a deck that you have a lot of experience with, where you know how to sequence, how to mulligan, how to approach the various matchups. I think that can give you an edge. And yeah, if I had been playing in the LCCC, I probably would not have brought some wacky untested brew, but rather stuck with a tried and tuned sort of Steel Song deck with a couple of new cards that I wanted to try out. In particular, the new Miss Bianca, Unwavering Agent, the 4-drop, seemed pretty solid to me. If you want another way to sing a whole new world, sort of a Gaston for 4 ink. And in this deck, there are a bunch of allies, the 2-drops, Mr. Smee, and also the new Troubadour. Those are allies to enable Miss Bianca. It's actually the main reason for choosing the Troubadour over Ursula Vanessa, which otherwise might provide more Rapunzel value. Daisy Duck, a card that I had replaced by Simbas at some point in the previous set, is actually an ally, so that also made a return. Lawrence, an ally. And apart from that, most of the cards are fairly typical or traditional, sticking with the Robin Hoods that I had some experience with. Earlier today, I saw Kurt do a lot of work with the Queen, which was particularly strong against other Ruby Sapphire decks. Not entirely sure which of the two is going to be the preferable shift line. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. It was quite impressive to see. So maybe if Ruby Sapphire becomes a big element of the metagame, I could see making that switch over. But yeah, basically stick with what you know and try out some of the new cards was my thought process. After the bans in particular, I um, yeah, obviously every Sapphire deck gets a bunch worse
Hmm.
because there's no more Hiram Flaversham. Whereas all the decks that were, on top of the metagame beforehand, and I think Steel Song was one of them, get better by comparison. So yeah, seems like a fine choice if you have experience with the deck, if you have been playing it for a lot, uh, and you want to find a deck to take to an upcoming tournament. The archetype should still be perfectly solid, whether it's this list or maybe Kurt Spice's list, which yeah did do a lot of work earlier today. Yeah, there are many ways to build it, but I still love to sing A Whole New World with Ariel.
There you go. There you go. Power play. So you guys got the exclusive right here. So this is a starting point. Go ahead and take this and, like you said, detail it and curtail it to whatever metagame you find yourself in. Just keep in mind that Ruby Sapphire is back in a major way. The format is quite aggressive and quite evasive as well. Aggressive and evasive, I would say, as a lot of things that I've noticed, at least in my local metagame. So just diagnose your own local meta. Start here and make the necessary changes. Okay, but here we are. We should be getting started here very soon, champ. And I think it's going to be a phenomenal matchup. It could go either way. Everyone's counted out Speci multiple times before. Zan Syed is a proven and known entity at this moment, so it's going to be very difficult to pick against him. So I don't want to make a pick because I don't want to root against anyone, but I got to lean towards Zan as well because I got my red, white, and blue on. We need these North Americans to stay in this tournament. I know you're European. I know you don't want to hear that too much. We got to keep the North Americans in here. They have been going down. We only got 2 left, and they're fighting hard. So we're going to try to even the scales here with this match, and hopefully we can get a U.S. versus EU finals, and I think it will be phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome to see. Indeed, we already have Moyen and Orthobox, two representatives of Team EU in the upper bracket finals. So yeah, Zan will be carrying the torch along with Kurt for Team USA. Indeed, based on just evaluating the two decks in this particular matchup, as well as like incorporating the value of experience and proven tournament success that Zan has. I indeed he is the favorite. But Speci, I mean, he has been winning a lot in this tournament as well, even in situations where, yeah, it didn't look like he
Mm-hmm.
was going to come out ahead. So he might surprise us all.
I'll be down for that. But the match should be starting again. Again, Miss Frank, Mr. Karsten. Okay, I can't thank you enough for being here. Again, if you're watching at home, we are going to be on a delay, so I can't quite keep up with the comments, but I do see the chat is rolling in. Thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for all the notifications that are popping off right now. I do appreciate you guys for being here. This is the LCCC. With me, I have an icon living, Hall of Famer, DLC champion. And we're going to bring you guys that insight. So I'm going to let him cook. We're going to get this thing rocking and make sure you guys are paying attention, especially all my newer players out there who aren't on this super high level competitive type echelon. Listen to what he's saying and try to implement this stuff and put it into your own game and try to make those diagnoses, because every time I'm here I feel like I'm getting better as a player. So really take these opportunities to do that. And Frank, I got to thank you again for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
For sure.
Um, I am looking at some awesome proxies for Speci. When you will see a card with some text on it, it's going to be an Elsa. It looks like.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we'll keep that in mind.
All right. So let me cook here for a second. But while I'm cooking this up, I need to know from you. Okay, I need to know. I ask all these top players when they come by. I do a lot of interviews. I talk to a lot of people. I like to pick their brain. Frank, I gotta know. Okay. What is your favorite Disney movie? Do you have it? You like the IP? Or what's your favorite Disney movie when you're watching? Do you watch them? Do you even keep track of that stuff at all?
I do. My favorite movie will go back to probably when I was around 9 years old or so when I watched it. Likely an age where these things make a big impression on you is The Lion King. I really liked that movie from the characters, Timon and Pumbaa, definitely a favorite. The awesome songs, the beauty of the whole surroundings and nature. It has stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
I also recently saw that Disneyland Paris is planning an expansion based on the Lion King for the coming, I don't know, years, and I can't wait to visit that one, perhaps alongside another Lorcana tournament.
That'd be nice.
And like in the Netherlands, where I'm from, the Donald Duck magazine is actually one of the most popular magazines, weekly magazines we have. As a kid, I always read it, and I loved the stories from basically the Ducktales characters, from Donald Duck to Scrooge McDuck and Gyro Gearloose. I even in my PhD thesis, which I wrote on the math of probability theory and game theory, I put in a bunch of funny examples, including whole discussions, including between characters such as Scrooge McDuck and Gyro Gearloose and Launchpad McQuack to illustrate mathematical theorems. So yeah, I've always had a soft spot for
That's
the Disney
awesome.
characters.
See, you're honestly, Frank, you're like the only top player that has said that. I do appreciate that personally. You know what I'm saying? I personally appreciate that because sometimes players like I've never seen a Disney movie. I just play the game and that's it. I don't care. I don't know any of the songs. So Lion King is a banger, and actually incorporating the Disney characters into your personal life that takes it to a whole another level. But man, I think it's almost going to be time. The players are shuffling up and they're about to get ready. So everyone out there at home, make sure you go ahead and take this time to put your seat back in the upright and locked position, stow the tray tables, and get those bags jammed under the seat because we're about to take this thing off to 35,000 feet and we're about to blast off into the game. I believe it is ready. Let me get one more thumbs up from the judge and then we're going to get this thing started. I believe it's about to happen. Shout out to Judge Phil. Shout out to LEO. They will be wearing the gavel, wearing the gown and gavel. And then it's time to play. So let's go and hop on in. What's happening here? Get that out of there. Oh, let's do this. Hold up. Let me see. Get out of here and then do. There we go. There it is. Hold on. What was going on there? You guys didn't see that. All right. Here we go. Here we go. I believe we do not know who has won the dice roll just yet. As Speci is still just doing a little bit of shuffling. We'll admire the green sleeves. We got Speci will be placed on the top on the stream, while Zan is going to be at the bottom with his satellite super long distance telephotographic lens that he has on his overhead camera there.
Are you able to somehow crop that and zoom in a little
Um,
bit?
I
Not sure if
cannot.
that's
I,
going
I
to be
cannot. It would have to
able.
be. Oh, actually, I might be able to. Let's try it. Let's try it. I don't think I can because it's coming right from their side. I might be able to a little bit. Let's see if I can do it. Let's see it. If we can believe,
And
we can achieve.
in the meantime, you will see these blue lines.
I can.
Those indicate the area that is visible to us, but not to the players. So below the blue line, that is where players are going to show their hands to you all, to the viewers, to us commentators. But that part will not be visible to the opponent. So that means that we will get all the insight into what the players have in their hands as they are making the decisions every turn, and it's awesome to get some insight into that from high level players like Speci and Zan. I do believe that in this game the strategic depth is actually quite deep, and every little decision from what to ink in the early turns to how you sequence your cards. It can make a massive impact between winning and losing.
Mm.
There's so many tiny decisions being made in Lorcana every turn, and they all add up over time to decide who actually emerges victoriously.
It's been there. That's so funny that you mentioned that because there have been so many instances where I'm like, hey, if I didn't ink this thing, it's turn 10, turn 12. If I didn't ink this thing on turn 1, I'd be in such a better spot right now. And it's just so difficult. I think the inking part, as a player who's not necessarily the best player in the universe, the inking system that they have in this game is so unforgivingly punishing sometimes, and that's the hardest part to overcome. What are some tips that you can give as a top level player to make better inking choices? What is your inking choice when you are locked in and starting to play?
The main thing is to think ahead for a couple turns and make a plan. Like, what are you planning to play this turn? What are you planning to play on the next turn? What are you planning to play on the turn after? Basically, set those cards aside. You're not going to be inking those, and then from the remainder, yeah, try to figure out which ones you might need the least in a couple turns from now.
Mm.
Sometimes you want to keep two options for the next turn, have a bit of flexibility depending on what the opponent does. But for the most part, I just try to curve out ideally like a 1-drop on turn 1, a 2-drop on turn 2, a 3-drop on turn 3, 4-drop on turn 4, and so on. And then any excess ones, like the worst option that you have of every point on the curve, you can use as ink.
Okay.
Obviously, it really depends on the situation. That's where the difficulty of the game arises.
And that's what
Okay,
separate.
Zan is keeping his
That's the
hand all the
separation.
way on the bottom, so maybe you need to
Yeah.
speak up.
Okay. I gotta expand again. I gotta expand again. Okay. So we'll switch it again. Sorry, we're cooking live. We're cooking live, folks. We're not gonna miss any action. This is live TV. Zan's camera is zoomed all the way out in the Hubble. He got it set up on the way out there. It is so far up. So you got to kind of expand a little bit. But shout out to Zan. He's still out here making it happen. I do appreciate his participation. But we're gonna have to extend this back out again so we can see Zan's hand a little bit. I'll fix this on the fly, and you guys just keep being patient, and we'll get this going. His cards are just so
Right.
tiny too. Look how small everything is. It's
But
like,
we're onto mulligans, and for Speci, it's all about. It looks like he's on the play because he's currently deciding. It's all about making sure that you hit your early drops. So he's keeping definitely a daisy. He was considering the Madam Mim, which is a fine backup safety 2-drop, though not ideal. If you can help it, you'd rather play a lantern or multiple 1-drops on turn 2, because a Mim bouncing a daisy is not gonna put up as much pressure. Still, it's okay to keep it as a safety in case everything goes poorly. Zan is mainly looking for ramp. He already had a sail in his opening hand, so happy with that. Also, along with a popsicle for turn 1. I thought he even had the bell perhaps, but looks like that.
he
Yeah,
does. He does.
is
So
that the bell on the
yeah,
left? Yeah, so
he's
then he
got the
kept
popsicle bell.
bell, popsicle, sail, and
I think that's
yeah, makes sense.
a pretty good curve. So just everything that you said in the matchup breakdown is an optimal line, I think, for Zan to come on out. You got the popsicle bell, you can sail, get to that Maui half shark, and you could just start to dominate this game, especially when you can sail into the Vitalosphere as well. So this is looking pretty good for Zan to come on out, as it looks like Speci is going all in on the Pascal plan. We got 3 uninkable cards in hand to start this thing off and a bunch of 1-drops. So this might be both players trying to demonstrate what their strategies are up to, and let's see who comes out on top, as it looks like Zan is going to be on the play going first, I believe, or on
All
the.
right. Well, I don't see a proper 4 ink card for Zan yet. So sure, he can lead off with popsicle and then ramp with the sail. But then what is he going to do on turn 3? He doesn't really have anything yet. So he is really hoping to draw into, say, a Grammatala or How Far I'll Go, something like that, with his Popsicle or Sail. Otherwise, yeah, he's not going to have a great way to use his Hink on turn 3.
Absolutely. So
But yeah, it is Popsicle and Bell. We were talking about the probabilities, not super consistent, but if you get it, if you high roll, well, now the big challenger is already on the table.
and that will check down a lot of these one cost characters that we talked about early. And when you arm this Bell with this Vitalosphere, if you felt so inclined, you can then even take out a Daisy Duck before it can do some tremendous damage to you. So starting Bell is what Zan wanted to do. Now Speci does have those Daisy Ducks, but are they good enough? As you're shifting those cards to the right, you're thinking those Pascals might be a good path to victory, as the Magic Broom might be gearing up to go down to the Inkwell. How would you
So
play
looking
this
at
from Speci
Speci's
side?
hand, you are like almost surely going to play a 1-drop on turn 1 and then 2 1-drops on turn 2. That is what your hand is, set up to do. The question is, what are you, like, two questions? What are you inking, and what are you playing on turn 1? Well, as for inking, those crabs and Iagos are not ideal for this matchup. Um, so one of those two makes sense. Now, often you want to start with Daisy on turn 1 because it will just give you the most questing value. But when there's already a Bell to start challenging, perhaps you just want to go for these characters that effectively replace
Mm.
themselves, so that Bell will not be able to like challenge profitably on turn 3. And you still have to play the Daisy because she's uninkable, but waiting a turn means that yeah, that Bell is not going to be
as
as threatening.
as significant. Absolutely. As we do ink the Vitalosphere, so maybe Zan not seeing the value in hanging on to that Vitalosphere because you have a second, and you will put the second Vitalosphere in play and go ahead and exert this Bell for a little bit of quest. So this match is looking fantastic for Zan. You do have enough ink to make it all the way up to the Maui Half Shark, and you can get the Tamatoa Tamatoa happy as a clam up into play as well. So this is looking nice for Zan. Let's see if he's going to take your play, take your approach, get this Daisy Duck involved now, and maybe you can get some additional lore going. I don't know.
Yeah, who is the aggro deck now? Zan was on the scoreboard earlier. That Bell may have turned everything around. It's,
Completely.
it's pretty funny to see because that's not how it would usually go.
Yeah.
Um, Now, my first thought looking at Speci's hand is that, well, you have two uninkables that, well, you actually have four uninkables in hand, but two of them are daisies. You will likely be priced into playing both this turn, because, yeah, you will have to play them at some point. You
Hmm.
may need most of the other cards as ink, actually. Now, um, there could still be merit to adding a Broom or a Diablo rather than another Daisy on this turn if you are not planning to quest with the Daisy on the next turn, again to deny some questing value to or some challenging value to Bell. You also don't really have a great play on turn 3 at the moment. Uh,
As we will go ahead and ink the
I mean,
crab. Well, ink the crab, but maybe
you
he could have kept the crab and maybe send the Daisy on to a challenge to just clear the Bell yourself, and maybe set up Rapunzel plays for your turn 3 if you could. If you could, maybe that'd be a good play if Zan continues to quest, perhaps.
certainly possible. Um,
But it looks like maybe he's playing around the potential of a Grandma Tala, which is now coming on into the fray as well. Another 3 cost character. I'm sure Speci did not want to see that, as Zan has now hit all the markers. If you show how far I'll go here, you could just probably how far I'll go next. I want to think, as we are going to grab the how far I'll go right on time to continue the absolute onslaught that Zan is trying to put together here, as Grandma Tala can sing that next turn. Once this Maui hits, I think, Frank, the game just might be over.
it will be very difficult for Speci to get some value at that point. That Grammatala was a huge pickup for Zan, allowing him to use his ink in a relevant way on this turn while developing the board. Zan chose not to quest with the bell, perhaps fearing like specifically the Merlin crab on the next turn. There's sometimes also a bit of danger in like potentially giving Speci some Rapunzel value, though you don't really have to worry about that too much. Um, because there's always a way of like re-challenging the Daisy on the next turn. But yeah, likely playing around the possibility of a Merlin crab. And ultimately, Zan is not actually the aggro deck in the matchup, so getting that extra lore here and there doesn't matter too much.
Okay, so we
Oh,
are we
that's
are going to
Tipo.
quest that Daisy, and you do hit one of the rare characters that are in Zan's deck. It is the Tipo, probably just some certified ink at this point of the game. You'll ink to 5, seeing how far I'll go, and now you got Maui set up for next turn. So Speci has to understand this position and see how he wants to continue to break this spot down. You haven't hit any of your lanterns yet, which would have been pretty okay for you, but now you're going to have to pay the full retail value for these Pascals, and it might be a bit too late.
Lantern on the last turn would have been great indeed. Could have shaved indeed a whole turn off those Pascals. But yeah, Speci will have to take it a little slower. Yeah, I think against Zan's deck, Daisy is more likely to find a non-character than a character. So questing fairly safe.
Absolutely, especially
Yeah,
as
just
long as the,
going wide.
as long as this game goes along, and like he stated, there is no Sisu, and Speci does know that these are open deck lists for everyone who's tuning in. Is this your first round of ICL action? They know exactly what the other person has in their deck, has available to them, so no Sisu to worry about. Maui Half Shark is one of the higher cost cards in the deck aside from Be Prepared, and Zan does have one in hand and it will be live next turn. So I'm very interested to see how Speci is going to negotiate this Maui Half Shark, and Zan also has cards available as well. No, he can't. It's not live next turn. I'm sorry, we got 2 turns away.
Yeah, Zan is currently at 4 ink. Now he would have like maybe he inked a Maui Hero to All
Mm-hmm.
a while ago, if I recall correctly, which would have been an ideal play on this turn to start challenging down those daisies. If Zan so desires, I mean he can certainly challenge down one of the daisies. Um, with you can also play Tipo and use Vitalosphere on it, but that doesn't really help. Still doesn't allow you to take down both daisies. Um, at the same time, you know, challenging with Grammatala when you would ideally like to sing how far I'll go is kind of unappealing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still this potential for Rapunzel that you have to keep in mind. Because if you have exerted characters and there is a uh, like an available Daisy, then if Speci is holding Rapunzel, suddenly that could be 3 full cards. So yeah, that's a tight squeeze that Zan is currently in.
Yeah, he's absolutely running a blade running, and just electing to use the remaining ink and just hard casting how far I go instead of singing, which is pretty brilliant. Now you can, in theory, clear one of those Daisy Ducks here, but like you said, you're going to set up a potential Rapunzel trap for the remaining Daisy Duck to give your adversary a few more cards in the process. But you say, I don't care, scared money don't make money, and we're going to go ahead and take the plunge here as taking down one of those Daisy Ducks in a challenge, probably to just keep some of that lore off the board. You don't hate it. Got to gamble sometimes.
Yeah, you likely have to run into it because what's the alternative? Just allowing Speci to keep questing with the daisies. That is so much lore gained every turn. You have to contest it, even if it means exposing yourself to a Rapunzel.
Absolutely. Just got to roll the dice. And Zan really isn't putting any tremendous amount of lore pressure on you. This deck does notoriously have to go a little bit longer in the tooth, a little later in the game in order to get to its position. So you're fine here if you're Speci, but you're going to have to start exerting sooner or later. And now you know that Maui Half Shark is probably going to be imminent. What do you do with this Vitalosphere raining? Even though, you know, it's such a scary thing now, because now if you quest, we get the Vitalosphere going, you're going to be sauced pretty bad, because now you can
Yeah,
sing the
but if you
Pirate's Life and double sing the Pirate's Life with the 2 singers and then get it back, and I don't think you can win from that spot.
It's gonna be tough, but well, we already see a be prepared go to the bottom. If you don't quest, if you're in Speci spot, Zan is also going to go up to 7 ink, which could easily mean be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to not exert any characters, fearing that Maui have Shark with the Vitalosphere Rush, then yeah, you just walk headfirst into a be prepared and don't get any value out of what you currently have on the board. So, and yeah, you likely just have to keep questing and advance towards your win condition.
Yeah.
But you do have to mitigate the impact of both. Well, you can't really mitigate the impact of Maui Half Shark too much, but you do have to mitigate the impact of a potential be prepared. The logical way to do that is to draw cards with the broom and the Churna box followers.
Okay, okay. So shout out to Zan trying to fix some of the lighting issues. We are trying to get the glare off of the situation as Zan has moved his satellite telescope a little bit closer to the end of the desk there. We get a better view. Thank you. Shout out to Zan for trying to work with us to make this happen. And shout out to all these players as well for just giving up the time and coming out and being a part of this showcase. It is a very important thing to this community, and a lot of people, myself included, are very very thankful that these players are electing to do this and give their time up for it. So I do make my jokes, but it's all in good fun and love, man. And I really appreciate everyone taking their time. But that thing has to be it's got to be sitting on a ceiling fan or something. It's got to be way up there. I'd love to see the setup.
Yeah, currently Zan is holding Popsicle, Pirate's Life, Tamatoa, and Maui Half Shark. But it requires some eagle eyes to pinpoint
Yeah,
the
there you
card.
go. There you go. You gotta. I'm straining my brain right now trying to read those cards, but it's all good. We'll do it for the love of the game. It's all for the love of the game. As I think this is going to be a good time, and the Tamatoa Happy as a Clam can get the Vitalosphere back again. That is another thing that we haven't really touched on yet. As once you crack this Vitalosphere next turn, you could just do it again and just keep Vitalosphereing and just keep clearing Speci's board, who has to understand that this is a problematic situation. But what are you going to do? Do you have ink left? Maybe think about Snake bouncing something back to the hand and popping this broom. What do you think of that play?
Mm, if you do that, then you're not developing the Pascals, which would be also a great way of expanding your board. But it does help a lot against Be Prepared specifically if you're
Mm.
scared of that. Um, yeah, it's always a tight squeeze playing against Ruby Sapphire because you have so many different cards that you would like to play around, but playing around one means that you become more vulnerable to another effect. So yeah, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
You almost surely will have to add something else to the board here, even if there is the risk of be prepared. You cannot really let your foot off the gas completely because then you just give Zan the time to set up with, I don't know, card draw or manners or ramp or what have you. You don't want to like overcommit into it completely, but you still need to present a reasonable lore clock.
Mm.
Now, I think with this particular sequencing, right, going for the Mim rather than the Pascal, I think Speci is better set up for uh, like a potential be prepared on the next turn because he can just deploy Pascal's next,
Mm-hmm.
and also he like the only uh, exerted character that he has is the Diablo, which, if it gets challenged, fine, you'll still draw the card. So Speci is not giving up any card resources and keeping everything safe.
Right. Okay. So Zan does come out and take the play, brings out the Maui Half Shark, and then we're going to go ahead and sing together the Pirate's Life. That song is a sing together for whatever reason. And now you can get the Pirate's Life back if you felt so inclined. You will have to ink the Popsicle. We'll go down to the inkwell to activate that Vitalosphere. And now we can clear the Diablo and get the Pirate's Life back again. And That is a gut punch to Speci, who probably saw that line of play coming. But you, like you said, Frank, you just can't play around everything. You just gotta go for it sometimes, and that is just what happens. And you're just gonna have to keep playing. But this is looking absolutely aces for Zan, and Speci's gonna have to do a lot of heavy lifting to get out of this.
Yeah, the most important part of the pirate's life is removing two lore from the opponent, because Zan, sure, he'll get some lore as well, but that's uh, when you're playing a control strategy like this, it's not your main goal to rush to 20 yourself. It's mainly about preventing your opponent from getting there, and then you ultimately have inevitability when you take control over the game with just harder, heavy hitting cards. And yeah, Speci now down to 8 lore. That's still a whole way off of 20.
Yeah,
He did draw the Rapunzel, so there is now the potential for value with the Daisy Duck, but it's a whole lot less appealing to go for that now when your Daisy then just gets challenged by the Maui Half Shark.
absolutely.
Now, when you're facing Maui Half Shark like this, all of a sudden you don't really have to worry about the be prepared as much anymore. So, deploying a bunch of characters to the board is gonna be fine here. Because if Zan plays Be Prepared and sweeps his own Maui Half Shark, you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and usually a good way to then get around the Maui Half Shark is to uh, have like go wide, basically play a whole lot of characters over a few turns, keep them ready for a turn or two, and then in one turn go for like a massive quest. And then that single Maui Half Shark cannot answer everything by itself. Um,
And just keep trying to
but
rebuild.
when,
But
but
we also you also have that giant parrot that's up now. So maybe if you have the parrot, you can ping some damage to this Maui half shark, and then maybe the Iago can come in and clear it later. It is evasive. It does have 4/6. Granted, it will not withstand that combat, but it will at least do enough to get the Maui off the board. And while we're looping this pirate's life, you just really, really, really don't think you can get out of that, as you could have taken an opportunity to clear one of these other Grandma Talas or Daisy or the Bell there. Would you have made that trade if you were Spezi?
I don't think so.
Mm,
When deciding between challenging or questing in Lorcana, the big question is who is currently let's say the aggro player,
mm-hmm.
the player trying to rush to 20 as quickly as possible. And in this case, that's clearly Speci. When you're in that spot, generally speaking, you want to be questing, and then Zan is gonna be priced into using his characters to, well, try to challenge
Yeah.
yours.
Oh, and
That
it's
said,
devastating. We got another Maui half shark is
mm,
on the board, as Zan does go sing together here, electing not to put that, showing a little bit of restraint, showing some discipline, and not putting that other Maui half shark out there for a little bit more lore. I think I would have just gambled. I would have just put the Maui out there and slammed the other one and got some residual return on my investment there. But Zan might have another play in line. Maybe you're trying to get one of these happy as a clam set up and get this Vitalosphere going again. I think that might be what the DLC champion is thinking here, as Speci
it
has to hate to see it.
it might also be the popsicle, which I think was banished on turn one for the
Mm-hmm.
for the bell. In this spot, popsicle is huge because Speci just played that Iago, right? Because Iago plus
Mm,
Daisy, that's going to be 5 damage on the Maui half shark. That was kind of the plan and the reason, I think, why Speci went for Iago over Pascal. But now popsicle says no, that Iago is still not going to take Maui half shark down. The shark is safe for
that
another turn.
Yeah, that is an absolute backbreaker. And you have the happy as a clam who can put in the Vitalosphere and another Maui half shark looping another pirate's life. Yeah, I think this one might be over. I think we might have to bust out the supercomputer, Frank, and see if there's any permutations or any mathematical reason that can say Spezia can win this one. He's gonna need some serious help, I think.
Yeah, it is going to be tough because if you quest here in Speci spot, it's not going to accomplish much. That Maui half shark will just challenge down your characters. get back Pirate's life, and effectively undo all the hard work that you put into questing. Likely, your only chance is to deploy some Pascals over the next few turns,
Mm.
and perhaps try to quest to 20 in one fell swoop, or perhaps over 2 turns. But it will take quite a lot of time to set up. I think Speci is gonna need like at least 3 turns before he gets to such a spot, and Zan is not gonna give him that time, right? Zan is currently able to quest for 5 a turn, getting additional lore with that half shark. I wouldn't be surprised if Zan can actually get to 20 over the course of the next 2 turns already. This Ruby Sapphire deck is absolutely able to turn the corner in rapid fashion.
Oh,
So
for sure.
it's I'm not even sure what you can do here in Speci spot. Sure, that Iago along with Rapunzel can get a bunch of value, right? By challenging one of the bells and then drawing a bunch of cards.
Hmm.
But still, that Maui Half Shark is gonna make short work of that and get that pirate's life back. So
Yeah. So it's
it's really difficult to get around it.
looking grim, but especially like I said, he's a warrior and he can get out of some tight spots. He's been down before, and he can always figure out a way to crawl back in. He ain't heard no bell, dude. As soon as I mean, he's still got 10. Maybe if he just keeps chugging along. I mean, he's gained so much lore already. Just Pirate's Life is just taking 4 back from him this game so far, and it's more probably getting taken away. So 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. That's not a way to win, as Zan has pretty much established this long lock. And if Speci does take your play and get a bit long in the tooth, we got that vision. We can get the vision again. I'm sure you can keep digging until you hit. Be prepared to just completely reset the board and just rebuild this thing back again. So this is looking great for Zan, but we're not going to give up. We're going to be positive, and maybe something can happen.
Oh yeah, Speci is certainly gonna try. Speci's hopes are that Zan is somehow not able to get to 20 lore across 2 turns. That Zan needs 3 turns, which means that Speci has this turn and the next 2 in order to get to 20. Now, the way to get there would have been to draw a bunch of cheap characters with
Mm-hmm.
Rapunzel, deploy them this turn, and then like similarly over the course of the next 2 turns. Uh, Unfortunately for Speci, he drew a bunch of expensive, high
Yeah.
cost characters that he was unable to add to the board this turn as well. So sure, he has a bunch of cards in hand now, but is unlikely to have the time to play out
To
all of them.
to present them to the play, and he does get the second Maui half shark out. So 1 shark is already tough. 2 might be insurmountable, as you can also additionally bring out that Vitalisphere, as we will go ahead and elect to sing the pirate's life for me. Tamatoa, happy as a clam, opens up the pipes and sings a pirate's life, and that's going to be an entire lore swing. We're talking, what is that? 2, 4. That's 4 lore going up for Zan, and then another 2 coming in from Visions of the Future. So,
I gotta say, if I was sailing the high seas and would come across a pirate ship being captained by a massive Tamatoa, I would be so scared.
yeah,
That would be quite a sight.
and you got a half shark, half man holding a hook as well. That'd be a terrible little voyage that you're on there, Frank. I don't.
Oh
Oh, you
yeah.
got another Pirate's Life too. Oh my goodness, you just cannot catch. Or that's one you got back. No, you haven't got it back yet. That's just a second copy. Ouch, baby. And it looks like we're going to set up Maui going down into the inkwell. Yeah, this game, I think your calculations are correct. This game should be coming to an end probably within the next couple turns, as I think you can't withstand a double Pirate's Life situation with double shark. We'll pop the Vitalisphere and we'll go ahead and probably clear both of these characters, getting more Pirate's Lives back. And I especially is not going to scoop. We're going to play it all the way through.
He'll stick in it as like trying to soldier on, but Yeah, this was from the mid game onwards an uphill battle for Speci. Notable, his list does not run Merlin Goat, so he doesn't really have any way of instant lore gain.
Hmm.
He has to get all his lore from questing, and that is a losing proposition against all of these half sharks.
But I got to ask you though, while I got you here, if you guys don't know who this is Frank Karsten. If you're just joining us, he is a legendary player, Hall of Fame Magic the Gathering player, and also DLC champion in Lorcana. What do you think about this color combination, this amber amethyst color combination as a group? Do you think there's a viable strategy in there? I do play a little bit of this color myself, and it does. I mean, it does kind of perform in certain scenarios. Is there a build you think that can exist that plays these colors and have some high level success?
Well, Speci is certainly trying with a spicy brew. I also played Amber Amethyst in one of the first set championships that I ever did.
Mm-hmm.
Built like a hyper aggro deck because yeah, that is what the color combination was capable of back then with all the cheap 2 lore and 3 lore questers. Um, and yeah, go under it uh, when you build it with enough cheap high lore questers and goats and the like. And this Pascal build is certainly a unique take on it that well is very exciting to see. Of course, the downside, like every ink combination, has some weaknesses. The downside is that you don't really have any way of interacting with opposing characters,
Mm-hmm.
other than challenging them with foxes, or like setting up some challenges with crabs or Elsas. But yeah, it means that against strong characters like Maui Half Shark in particular, you have a massive weakness. Perhaps you can add some copies of World's Greatest Criminal Mind to the deck,
Mm-hmm.
but that would also be a very, very specific answer that would be fairly weak in other matchups. So I do believe that there is something to it, and this Speci build is absolutely interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we didn't really get to see Pascal in
For
action
sure.
much in the previous game, and against a Maui half shark, yeah, even that Pascal is not gonna get you
And we didn't get a chance to
get
see. We
you
did not get a chance to
there.
see the lanterns pop off either. We didn't get a chance to see the deck do what the deck is wants to do. So I do have the deck list back up on the screen so folks at home can see. Zan Syed is playing Ruby Sapphire. Speci is playing the Amethyst Amber strategy with the Pascals, very evasive. He's got the Iagos in there. He's got the Bells in there. So you really get a chance to see the deck do what it wanted to do. Zan's deck did exactly what he built it to do. He got right to that point that we talked about earlier in the preamble of the stream, and he absolutely executed. And Speci just really could not get it started. So hopefully Speci's going to be on the play this time, and maybe we can see this deck execute and we can see it pop off. I would like to see it. I want more action. I want to push for a game 3. And you guys at home, hopefully you guys are sending your energy over to Speci so we can get a game 3 going and take this thing on to the distance. I don't want to see Speci out of this tournament just yet.
Yeah, play draw is a massive difference maker in this matchup, which is not all that much about like the perfect late game resource exchanges, but rather about whether the Ruby Sapphire deck can weather the early onslaught from all the cheap 1 drops in Speci's deck.
Mm-hmm.
And when Speci's on the play, he's going to have a far easier time of reaching that 20 lore before Zan has a chance to answer it.
Mm. Okay. 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 All right, so we are shuffling up. Zan has now fixed the lighting, but now it just seems like you're on the dark side now, and we can't see anything. Versus, and we got Popsicle Bell again for second game in a row with quadruple manner. That is hilarious. The hand is Popsicle Bell, manner. Be prepared. Dang.
Yeah, the that much manners is not what you want to be seeing in your opening hand, I don't think. Speci looks to be mulliganing, altering away anything that is not an early drop, which is likely the way to go for his deck, and finds some other early plays. Zen keeping Popsicle and Bell, perfect combination. Definitely don't change that. There could have been some merit in also keeping Be Prepared, because that is a card you would love to have access to.
Mm-hmm.
But digging deeper for a ramp effect is likely more important. And those manners, yeah, they're not going to help you much if you were to spend time deploying manners in the early turns rather than answering Speci's characters. You're never going to win the race, especially not when Speci is on the play.
For sure. Okay, but just I think we saw how effective that popsicle and bell was in that previous game, and I think it's going to be
Yeah,
just as good this time. Just taking all that tempo, turning the clock around, stopping Speci from getting to his spot and questing early. So I think he's going to really not enjoy seeing a second installment of Popsicle Bell. But you did get to your lantern this time, and you have the Peter Pan Shadow Finder that is up. So that could be another potential play if they can get the Maui Half Shark exerted. You could potentially send the Peter Pan Iago into the Maui Half Shark, clear it, get some more draws in with your other characters, and continue to rebuild your board and restabilize. So this game might be a little bit better. Let's see if Speci can execute and force a game number 3, or will his time in the sun end here and he will finally be removed from the tournament? We will see.
that turn one Bell can absolutely make a huge difference here, I reckon, because Speci with his opening hand is surely going to curve out with a bunch of early.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, hold up. Are you there?
Zan with a turn one Bell will be able to start challenging right away, and
Are you there? Oh,
yeah,
sorry. I can hear you.
actually
We had
deny
a we had a
Speci
slight break
early
there for a
early.
second. All right, just make sure that everything is good. I don't see anything wrong with the stream, but we had like a slight break there for a second. How about now? Are you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I can hear you just fine. We should be good to go.
All right. Yep, and
Sorry about
the
that.
players are underway as well.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Oh, you're breaking up again. Frank, are you there?
Yes,
Okay. Because I know we're having some PC related issues in the testing portion. We'll just make sure that we're all good to go.
but there we have the Bell on the board. But still, Speci has an excellent initial curve as well. Um, that lantern, well, it can ramp you into. Wait, what is it actually going to ramp you into? I'm not quite sure yet. But Speci will be able to draw a bunch of cards, maybe find that desirable Pascal.
All right, so I'm just making sure we have some. I thought we have some technical issues with the stream. Everything should be good to go. Just making sure that it is. We're back. Okay, everything is good. Everything is good. All right, sorry about that. Sorry about that, everyone out there watching at home. I'm just making sure that everything is underway. The encoder has been dumped, and I think we're having some issues, but I think I'm gonna turn your thing off, Frank, just so we can ensure that that's not happening again, just to reduce any type of movement. Again, thank you guys all for being out here with us. I do appreciate your patience as we are underway. So it looks like we did get that bell. We do have the develop your brain. We have the lantern is established. This game looks so much better for Spezi already, I think.
It, I mean that lantern certainly helps, but that bell is
That's the game changer.
putting so much pressure. Even the threat of challenging means that Speci will have to play quite differently. However, Zan did miss turn 2 ramp. He did not find Tipo or Sail after the mulligan, which means that he is falling a little bit behind on his ideal development. Um, Also, going to be interesting to see is Zan going to quest with the bell. It might seem free, but it can allow Speci to challenge back along with a Merlin Crab, effectively giving Speci some value for free, perhaps even allowing Speci to just uh, challenge the Bell and draw a card with Diablo if he so desires. So not doing anything with Bell seems to be the best decision for Zan indeed. There's just too much that could go wrong if you quest with her. And Speci indeed does have that crab that could have punched it.
Absolutely. All right, so you didn't do it. You showed a little bit of discipline, and it works out for you there as you're thinking about it here. You're trying to run the numbers. Playing this Lantern card, it's a card that was pretty heavily favored in the meta early on in the onset of the game, but kind of fell out of favor. Speci's trying to bring it back into the game. We'll ink that Merlin crab that we talked about, and now we can go ahead and quest this Diablo quite cleanly. Not really. Are we going to use? What are we thinking here? Are we going to bring out the Peter Pan and the Daisy Duck?
So the main thing when you're sequencing your plays is to look at which cards are uninkable. Like you will have to play them at some point. You cannot use them as an ink resource. Here it's Peter Pan and Daisy. I don't really see another great time of playing them other than like on this very turn. So you might as well get those uninkables out of the way. The questing with Diablo makes a lot of sense because, well, if Zan wants to challenge it, you get that card back, and Zan again will have to be careful about challenging with Belle because there is always that potential with Rapunzel for Daisy to challenge back, and then suddenly Speci would refill his entire hand. It is a danger that Zan will have to be aware of.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, man. Because I that's an issue that I have. I just don't know when to send it. And last time, I think Speci made that decision. Like, hey, I just gotta. I mean, Zan just made that decision. I just gotta send it no matter what. Or excuse me, Speci made that decision and didn't really get punished too bad. But where do you draw the line? You don't have that Vitalosphere up, so is it a time you just start going for it if you're Speci and just trying to run that race before he can get this shark on you?
Well, as in Speci spot, you will just have to keep questing and getting every point of lore that you can get. Because if the game would go long, then Zan will have an edge for sure, which means that yeah, you will just have to take some risks and quest as much as possible. So the big question is Zan going to challenge the Diablo here, or will he try to play around a potential Rapunzel? It's tough because if you don't challenge, then you also give Speci a whole lot of free value. Oh, he keeps the bell
Mm-hmm.
back, so now Speci gets some effectively free lore with that Diablo that can keep questing, but Zan mitigates the worst case situation of a Rapunzel.
Absolutely. That's when you know how to that you know someone's playing at their best capability. You're not going to play into the Rapunzel trap. That's a skill expression, not allowing your opponent to get some potential value. Even though Specie is not holding on to the Rapunzel, you do have that very threatening Vitalosphere
I mean,
that
we
is up
know,
and
but
active. Yeah, we
Zan
know.
doesn't.
we know. We know, but yeah, exactly. Speci doesn't know. So, or excuse me, Zan doesn't know, but he has that Vitalosphere that's up and active again. I can't quite see how much ink. I believe the markers at the bottom are correct. There is going to be 4 ink for Zan, so you're still quite far away from getting that Maui Half Shark set up with the Vitalosphere combo. We will remove some threats from the board, or remove the Daisy Duck back to hand, and then you can
Yep.
redeploy that Daisy again. So this is looking okay. I think this is salvageable for Speci.
I agree. Going like from Speci's perspective, you know that Zan is going to go into 5 ink on the next turn. The main threat there is Maui Hero to All. So using the Meta Mim to protect Daisy from such a challenge is like the logical approach. Again, Zan doesn't actually have Maui Hero to All, but yeah, when you are playing these games, you always have to predict what the opponent might do next, most likely, and make sure that you don't walk straight into that. And I
Mm-hmm.
like how Speci is doing exactly that.
Absolutely. So you got 2 characters exerted. You have the Daisy Duck back up. You're still at 6. I would love to see Speci sitting at around that 10, 11 range right now. I think he'd be very comfortable there. Unfortunately, you did kind of get slow out of the gate, just showing how impactful that one of Bell can be. One single Bell just completely derailed your entire game both times in a row, it seems. And that is just indicative of Zan putting that card in the deck. I mean, you got to play the card. That's step number one. And a lot of people said they look at the Bell and they're like, I don't think that fits anymore. Well, Zan's like, hey, I'm gonna throw it in there, and it worked out magnificently in these first 2 games so far. Incredible. Just one little addition is all it takes to be the difference maker. As we're going to go ahead and pay that 4 full value, and we will get another how far I'll go. And now Speci has to shudder a little bit as we are getting closer and closer to that threatening 6 ink turn and the 7 ink turn for that. Be prepared.
Yeah, so this will indeed put Zan, after inking on this turn, perhaps a sail up to 6 ink, and then that means 7 ink on the next turn, giving him access to both Be Prepared as well as a Maui Half Shark with Vitalosphere up. Both lines of play will surely be on Speci's mind as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This means that Zan might still fear Rapunzel as the last card in Speci's hand, so not challenging with Bell could easily make sense, especially if you are intending to play Be Prepared on the next turn, and first sweeping the board with Be Prepared and then playing Maui Half Shark after is that feels like a better sequence than doing it the other way around and sweeping up your Maui Half Shark.
For sure.
And that's why that Bell is still staying ready. Now here on Speci's side, you have to be aware of indeed those Be Prepared and Maui Half Shark. If there's gonna be Prepared, you just want to be questing out, getting the lore value out of your characters while you can, and then perhaps that's a free Maui.
Yeah, Daisy
Perhaps
give
not
value
add
too.
much more.
Dang. So Daisy actually giving tremendous value to the Ruby Sapphire play. You typically don't see that. Usually in this build specifically, Daisy just sending cards to the bottom of the deck, and now you're going to actually go all in onto the Be Prepared as well. Going into Be Prepared turn, playing this Iago down. This is going to be brutal for Speci as you overcommitted, and the punish might be inbound. Frank, oh no. You got to sing it. I can't sing it. I'm not villain. Okay. I heard you have some pipes this morning. I did hear your singing voice. It was quite impressive. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I'm not gonna be as good indeed.
Okay.
I actually do like Speci overcommitting in Be Prepared, and I will explain why after it comes down. Surely, basically the reason is that you like, regardless of what you do in Speci spot there, it will be very difficult to defeat Be Prepared on the next turn because it just sweeps so much off the board. Whereas if you commit Iago, you might still be able to beat Maui Half Shark in a race, right? You have to consider in Speci spot what kind of cards can you realistically beat. If you think, well, if there's Be Prepared, I'm just not going to be able to win the game. It doesn't really matter if you overcommit into it. While at the same time, if you if Speci might not have committed that Iago and Zan would not have Be Prepared, but rather rush in with a bunch of Mauis, Speci might not have been able to present enough pressure over time to win the game in time. So you just have to think about what you can beat and what you cannot, and sometimes overcommitting into Be Prepared
is the right thing to go.
Is the right line if you just cannot beat it anyway.
Yeah. And sometimes they just don't have it too, but you just I guess you got to send it sometimes. I did say that. Sometimes you got to grip it and rip it, as we are going to continue. We're going to start splashing some of these actions now, not trying to conserve them for a Maui Half Shark, just ripping them, checking the hand. You're going to probably snatch this Pirate's Life. No, we're going for the Tamatoa. We're going to add the Tamatoa Happy as a Clam just to get some more drawing power. You are setting up. You have this Maui Half Shark surprise attack that you can do next turn as well. So we're about to get set back up into the blender. Speci is going to be going feet first in when this shark is starting to recycle these pirates' lives. It's going to get grim. So we do have a plan. I think the plan is just to start questing these bells, maybe, and you can get there. It does quest for 2, holding a 4/4 stat line. Maybe that could be good enough, but I just don't see it.
It's it's gonna be tough. If I look at Speci's position, well, currently at 11 lore. If you add up the lore pips on all the characters, you're up to 16, which means assuming that every character is just gonna get rushed down in a challenge right away, you are still pretty far off of 20. You don't really have many other lines available other than just playing out your characters and questing and hoping.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah. So
Perhaps adding that Pascal and hoping that Zan just doesn't have a way of dealing with the evasive can give you an edge.
possibly.
But,
I maybe he might be saving it for like a
be
for a double attack on a Maui half shark, but that's just all of your cards and your entire board. If you were to do a Peter Pan Shadow Finder and Pascal a challenge shark play, but that's just so much resources for such a little return on your investment. So now both of these players are kind of locked in this weird little stalemate. Speci afraid to quest because he's playing around the Vitalosphere Maui half shark combo, and Zan afraid to quest because the bell can clear the Grandma Tala and give tremendous Rapunzel value. So we're in this weird
Yep.
little game that they're playing. Let's see who's going to break first.
we'll just have to add some additional characters to the board for both players. Yeah, at this point, if you're in Speci spot, what can you realistically beat? What can you play around? We just saw Zan, I think, ink a Maui hero to all, which is not all that promising as a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, my inkling here is to go for evasive and hope that Zan doesn't have a way of contesting the Pascal. Um, questing with Bell, obviously a little bit dangerous in the face of a potential Maui half shark, but you have to try something because Speci doesn't have the luxury really of playing around too much.
Mm-hmm.
If you give Zan too much time, if you keep that foot off the gas, Zan will be able to turn the game around in some ways. So yeah, you gotta take risks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we are going to bring out the play. So the Maui half shark has landed, and Grandma Tala is going to go ahead and get a how far I'll go in to gain an additional lure. Check 2 cards. Let's see what they're going to be. You got this bell set up, and you have the popsicles available as well. So you'll be able to re-heal again, so the Pascal cannot clear. I don't know if that's correct or not. I think that's not correct. So you still will be able to clear with the Pascal there if you do challenge and engage this bell with the popsicle or with the Fortisphere. Excuse me, not Fortisphere. I'm thinking about Fortisphere got banned.
Yeah, you
The Vitalosphere.
you're absolutely right, and that is a good point. At the same time, if I'm in Zan's spot, I wouldn't be overly concerned with that, because if Pascal challenges
Mm-hmm.
rather than questing, well, that's effectively 3 points of lore that Speci is not getting, and you're still getting value out of the shark. So that is an exchange that I think Zan will be fine with.
Mm-hmm.
A potential reason to heal with a popsicle, though, would be to play around Peter Pan. Because if
Oh.
Zan does not heal with the popsicle here, then Peter Pan could challenge down Maui, and that Pascal still has free reign. So it may be prudent to play around that and heal Maui with the popsicle, even if it might look a little bit silly in the face of that Pascal, but it can play around the potential of challenging with Peter Pan on the next turn.
Absolutely. And he just so happens to have the Peter Pan in hand already ready to look for some shadows over there in Maui's area. So let's see if Zan pops his popsicle. He is very capable of using these popsicles. He uses them quite frequently, especially when he played the Sapphire and Steel strategy before the banning happened. He was always popping those one cost items, you know. So let's see if he's going to remember to do that now, or will he say, you know what, it's not that big of a deal if you want to send the Peter Pan Shadow Finder into my Maui half shark. I'm
And
certain he will.
then opting for the be prepared here, just going for all the control elements he can muster. He also knows that with that Tamatoa, he will be able to get back some popsicles and value. So he already has like card draw and control elements in his hand. Might as well add another be prepared to make sure that the board stays clear.
Dang. And I'm just catching up some chat. Oh, you never sang. You never sang. Lorcana Villain is in the chat right now, 5 minutes into the past, and he's saying he was disappointed that you didn't sing. There might be another opportunity coming up at some point throughout this game, and if not, we might
Okay,
need a rendition that is from your favorite
I
Disney movie, as
promise
you said.
I will sing when the next be prepared
Okay,
hits.
okay, okay. I am a slight. We let you off the hook there. I see what you did. You try to just skirt around it. We're not going to let that happen. We're not going to let that happen, Frank. So
All right,
before
all
we
right.
go, okay, if it happens, it might not happen here because I believe Zan is trying to turn that
But
corner right now.
be careful what you wish for.
No. No. Okay, okay. We'll see. We got a nice little delay out here. Again, thank you guys for watching. Sorry for some of the technical issues we were having. There were some internet related problems. We got those resolved, hopefully, and we're back at it again. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is the LCCC. We here with Frank Karsten. Yes, that is right. That is the Frank Karsten who is in the dojo with your boy JDZ, and we are watching Speci versus Zan Syed. Speci playing Amber and Amethyst, and Zan Syed playing Ruby and Sapphire. So you got the opportunity here. Now, do you quest or do you challenge? These are the decisions that you're going to have to live with because you can get up to 16, but then you can go right back
Both
down again.
both approaches look miserable
Yes, they do.
because if you challenge, then sure the board is clear, but you're still a long way off of 20. If you quest, then yeah, you are getting somewhat close, but you know that Zan will then be able to get additional value out of that Maui half shark. Perhaps even get back a be prepared that you already see if need be. Perhaps heal the Maui half shark with another popsicle, or Tamatoa getting back popsicle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not going to be a pretty spot regardless of what you do. Um,
You would love to
I
have a crab
guess
here. A crab and a Peter Pan together would be so nice
yeah.
to clean this Maui half shark, but you just don't have that available to you. There's no way to rush this Diablo in to actually draw another card. Maybe you can play this Diablo and crash it next turn to potentially draw another card just to see if you can get to the crab situation. But now the shark may not exert next turn if you don't exert your Pascal. As we're just gonna put a bunch of lore out onto the board. I like the tenacity. That's 5 in play right now, and maybe you can get the bell in play as well, and that might trigger a Frank Carson exclusive "Be Prepared" song. We'll see.
Uh, we might easily see that coming up. Yes, I'm ready this time.
Yeah, you gotta warm up the
So
pipes.
Speci ultimately chose not to quest, not to challenge, and that is actually a fine line as well, because along with the bell on the next turn, that would be 7 lore, in case Zan would be holding a hand of like all bricks pretty much, then this line of play from Speci will give him the win in 2 turns. Now it's difficult to expect that Zan is on all bricks, but it is a valid line because if you were challenging with Pascal, yeah, you're not getting to 20 in time.
Mm-hmm.
If you were questing with Pascal, then you just give Maui Half Shark the opportunity to get back, be prepared. At least now, Speci has a potential game plan, a path to victory where he hopes that Zan's hand is terrible. And if that is the case, then yeah, Speci would be able to get to 20 in 2 turns from now. So sometimes the answer to the question, quest or challenge, is indeed to do nothing at all.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Do something else, or do nothing. That is just, that's, you can write a whole book on that. That's a whole, I think you can do a whole thesis, another doctorate thesis on that thing alone. Quest, challenge, or do nothing. A book coming out by Frank Karsten here in the next couple of weeks. Make sure you guys pick it up where books are sold at Amazon. There you go. There you go. I like it. All right, but now Zan is in the think tank hard here, gazing at this vision of the future, trying to figure out the best line of approach. You have the Tipo, which is definitely not getting picked. You have the Pirate's Life. You have the Tamatoa, Happy as a Clam. We have the Bell, and we have the Brawl. So, what are you taking here? If you're Zan, I'm snapping this maybe Brawl or Pirate's Life for sure, and then just maybe you can just get the Tamatoa down now. And I don't know. Maybe it is harder. What are you taking here?
It will also highly depend on what you're planning to do this turn, whether you're planning to play that Be Prepared or not, which does seem somewhat appealing in the face of all those Pascals and characters.
Mm-hmm.
If you do plan to play the Be Prepared, I was mainly considering either Brawl or maybe Tamatoa to get ahead afterwards. But some sort of board control and Brawl is likely going to be useful. If you are not planning to play Be Prepared this turn, which is a possibility, right? You could just say play Pirate's Life and wait for next turn to play Be Prepared if you expect that Speci will just add more to the board. I guess then Brawl also makes sense.
And Brawl the Daisy next turn, or you could potentially Brawl the Peter Pan here, and then just sing the Pirate's Life and just put the onus back on your adversary to do something, and then you got the Grandma Tala that can help fight the Diablo, but then you'll be playing into a potential crabbing situation with the Diablo. So it's a lot of decisions are being made in a very, very expedient manner, man. I think these moments in the game are the bright spots to me. These are the moments that I like the most in Digital Lorcana because they're so difficult to negotiate. And this is where you can say, okay, the decisions I make have a direct impact on the outcome of this game, and you get to demonstrate your decision making skills over your opponent. And that is why people are so attracted to this game, because of these spots like this. Because I'm pretty sure you give those same cards to 5 different people, they pick 5 different things, and it's a totally different outcome 5 different ways. And I love that about this game.
Yeah, Zan looks to be saying, well, I don't need to play Be Prepared yet. Speci doesn't have a way to get to 20 lore, doesn't play goats. I'm in no danger of losing on the next turn. Okay, another half shark always gonna be valuable.
Yeah, these.
And in the meantime, I can just keep up what I have here and wait with Be Prepared until the next turn. It's also notable that Zan may need to keep a potential library in mind, keeping Maui Half Shark and Gramatala on the boards to perhaps immediately challenge down that location could be valuable too.
And dropping down to, I believe, going down to 11 for Speci. So we're almost knotted up here. However, Zan is comfortably sitting at 10 in the Inkwell, while Speci's still kind of trapped at 4. I mean, that's basically where you want to cap off anyway, especially when you have an active Lantern. So this is starting to climb back in Zan's favor. It started off pretty strong for Speci this time, but now it has now hit the screech. And we need to get to, I don't even know what you need here anymore. I would like to see potentially a Madam M. Fox. I guess that's something. That's a start there. You can kind of clear the Grandma Tala, but that cannot engage with this Maui Half Shark. Dang, as the Brawl was really, really strong. Clearing the Peter Pan Shadow Finder, so you can't even clear this Maui anymore. And it is there no Bell can't even move damage? Yeah, that just stinks. Yeah, this is tough. Is there any way to put some damage on? No, you can't even do it. Nope. You just kind of gotta sit here and stare at this evasive Maui. Why did they make this card evasive, Frank? What were they thinking?
It certainly makes it into a very formidable card.
Yeah.
Um, I yeah, I can see how that Belle doesn't really do much with her ability. I was considering questing with Pascal and then getting it back with the Madame Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps then trying to replay Pascal on the next turn along with something else and trying to get to 20 that way. Um, but Speci tries to keep his board full.
Mm-hmm.
Like next turn, let's see, can Speci somehow get to a way like
Maybe there's like
where
a
he
is there an Elsa play? No, not with 4
more?
ink. I don't think you can do an Elsa. You have to
No.
get the crab up, and then you'd have to slam the crab into something, and then Elsa the crab on that same turn, which I don't think Zan even has is going to put another non-evasive character on the board as we get another How Far I'll Go, and you have a third installment of Maui, so you can go triple Maui here, and that's basically an unwinnable type situation as they can also start questing freely then as we will go ahead and select that Maui. Perhaps no, unless Maui's going down to the inkwell, never mind, we'll inkwell the Maui and keep another action as you can continue to rain these actions in, action on action on action, and we'll just institute this shark burn plan as a alternate win condition instead of trying to do the whole challenge Pirate's Life thing. Just go one at a time, and Speci's going to have to answer it sooner or later.
Okay. It's this may be a game where be prepared is well, this might be a game where be prepared is going to be played for the final game-winning points of lore with Maui Half Shark.
Two of them,
Right?
yeah.
If Zan is at like 18 or 19 lore, with one or two half sharks in play, just play Be Prepared, sweeping the board, but gaining the lore in the process. That's what I'm hoping for because I'm still
Absolutely.
here waiting to sing Be Prepared.
And I think a lot of people are hoping for it too because they want to hear your rendition, and I kind of want to hear it myself. Now I'm very curious because I think a lot of people see the kind of the writing is on the wall where this game is going, but now we need Frank Carson's rendition of Be Prepared. I'll cue you in, we'll set it up, and then you can go ahead and slam dunk this thing on home.
Yeah, because at this point, like Zan's board is actually better than Speci's, which means that Be Prepared may not even be as appealing. Okay, okay, okay. Here, this is actually one of the few cards that Speci could have drawn, and suddenly, with that Mim bouncing the Pascal, there is 5 lore on the table.
Oh wow.
Speci could quest to 20 on the next turn if Zan has if Zan has nothing. We know that's not the case, but that's very well set up by Speci here. This gives him a path to victory.
Okay, but look at that. We just like that. We thought we didn't need it, but I think it's time, Frank. We're gonna cue you in. Your teeth and ambitions are bare. Wait, hold up. Wait, too soon. Too soon. Wait, let me dial it back a little bit. Let me dial it back a little bit. Okay, okay, okay. All right, hold up. He's thinking about it. We'll let him. He's gonna quest. Teeth and
Yeah, quest first, of
ambitions
course.
are bared. Dang it, damn, Zan, play the card now. Okay, one more time. Teeth and ambitions are bared. He's
Be prepared.
let's go. Let's go. It was so good. There it is. There it is, everyone. And it happened. That was pretty.
Great teamwork. Thank you, Zan.
Yo, Zan, that was pretty good. I think a villain might have a run for his money. Be prepared. I'm not even gonna try. Okay, we'll work on that as we get the Elsa. Especially, I know you have copies of Elsa, big dog. You just don't want to go into the bulk bin and pull them bad things out. As we have the manner has been established as well in a manner of speaking. So no goats coming in for Speci. This game is over as there's really not a lot you can do. We're kind of just going through the motions here at this point. We'll continue to draw. If you get an action, the game just comes to a screeching
Yep,
halt,
there
and
it
we
is.
will. And the cell, the Azurite Sea is going to be deployed,
Final lore.
and Zan Syed gets to the dub, and that is going to get it done. GG's to both
Yeah,
players.
very Very well played. Speci tried to give himself the best chance. I liked his approach. First, not questing with the Pascal, then indeed bouncing it with the Mim. It gave him a chance in case Zan had just a terrible hand, but it was not to be.
Absolutely. So, Frank, what we'll do, we'll hop on into the Discord. The players should come through at a moment or two, and we'll be able to do a quick interview. We have you in the building. I think that's a rare, opportune time for these players who are on your level to get some feedback from someone from you. So, we'll set up the interview. We'll hear what they have to say, and then I'm sure you have some things that you saw from that match that you can kind of point out, and we can kind of discuss how those things went from your perspective. I thought you did a great job telling that story and kind of painting that picture from an in-depth analysis standpoint, and hopefully the people at home enjoyed it, as we are now being joined by DLC champion Zan Syed is now in the booth. Zan, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Greetings. Congratulations on your victory. We can hear you. And we also joined by Joe Speci Curley, who's also in here, had to go down in that round. But we'll start with you, Zan. Along with us in the booth, we have the legendary Hall of Fame caliber player, Frank, who joined me in the commentary space, man. And he provides some great insight. But I just want to say congratulations on your victory. In my heart, I thought you would go back to Emerald Steel. Can you just talk about that decision to elect to go with Ruby Sapphire for this retooling of this tournament?
Well, I feel like your heart and Speci's heart, or any other competitor's heart, would guess the same. And I felt like in this small of a field where people are trying to get to know other players, you have to show your range. And I just wanted to show that I can play blue red.
Absolutely. I thought that was a dynamic choice to come out and make red blue, but you do have access to one of the best red blue players. You and DKP are on the same team. However, you kind of diverted your strategy a little bit. You're not playing the same exact card for card makeup, basically the same concept, but you're electing to use this bell, and it has some great effects. Can you just talk about that? Was that designed for Speci specifically, or is that something you've been testing in your own game aside from this tournament?
Well, I thought that Speci was most likely going to play purple steel. Like number one, I thought most likely he was going to play an aggressive strategy. And then number two, I thought that he was going to play purple steel. That was hard countering green steel. He brought something way more surprising and super cool. But basically, I think that Bell is like a very misunderstood card. And those of us that played Magic understand that it's closer to a card like Force of Will. And if the moment you start thinking about it like Force of Will, that you don't always have to, like Force of Will, what it did was counter something by pitching another blue card. In this instance, when this is like a Force of Will to an aggressive strategy. So you don't want to use it all the time. You actually want to only use it when your opponent's being aggressive against you. And so I feel like a deck like this, which can be weak to Daisy Duck, or just other hyper aggressive cards like one drop Maleficent that quests for 2, etc. Bell can kind of bail you out of those situations. Essentially, a Force of Will, that like a price you're willing to pay in the early game, because you know that in the later game that you're going to be able to dominate.
Okay. And we got Frank Karsten here. I know I'm hogging all the questions. He's a Hall of Fame player. Would you agree with that assessment as a Force of Will? I'm not sure. I don't play too much Magic, but Frank, I'm sure you got some questions for Zan and how you constructed that deck.
I also need another explanation of Force of Will, because I did not follow.
I definitely like the analogy. Force of Will is a card that would cost a lot of, well, the equivalent of ink to cast to counter an opposing card, but you also have a way of playing it for free. Just like Bell, a 3/3 for 3 ink that is quite poor, but the ability to play her for free is what makes her stand out, and having access to that flexibility, indeed, especially against aggressive strategies, can give you some high roll value. It was nice to see Bell in action in both games. You won't always have the chance to
Disagree
put
with
her
that.
together with the popsicle. Yeah, maybe not so maybe not so nice for you, Speci. I was interested, Zan. I saw you not exert Bell whenever you could, perhaps to play around Rapunzel in this final game. Can you talk about the thought process when you were not challenging or questing with Bell?
Yeah, so once we finally made it into top six, I felt like it was uh worth my time to start playtesting. And so I had a playtesting session with three other people, my friend Nathan, Jeremy, and Aaron Rubin. And when we were testing, I realized that if they don't have like this hyper aggressive start, that the only way they can keep the game going is Rapunzel. And you identified that perfectly. I felt like, Bells becomes a threat that makes my opponent want to sacrifice whenever they can. So like they'll get rid of their brooms, they'll get rid of their turnabogs, and sometimes it's wrong to quest because if they have a Daisy Duck and they draw those three cards, it makes them be prepared proof, right? And so I just wanted to constantly threaten Maui Shark and be prepared. And I felt like the clock was getting too quick. Then I would swing with the bell and risk letting my opponent draw the three cards. But basically, I think that it's just like weighing that decision every single turn. And I felt like it was free for me to play around because I felt like he was only going to make it to 11 with the clock that he was demonstrating, maybe 13 at the best, and that's not like in danger range. Like the cards, like the cards that he could potentially draw are way more threatening than the way he was presenting, because goat is a very big consideration when you're playing against amethyst aggro shells, and this version had no goat. So I can't get goated out. And so like with all these variables, I like just and the playtesting, I just realized, okay, just don't give them the cards. Be prepared as once you start getting into the 15, 16, 17 range, that's when it gets really dangerous because of a card like Pascal, right? There's a very high chance that Pascal gets to untap at least one time.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
I think that showed a lot of foresight. Even though Speci didn't end up having the Rapunzel, your approach to the game made a lot of sense, and I think that was insightful to see.
Interestingly, like on that point of Rapunzel, I actually inked Rapunzel turn 1, even though like Crab was the more obvious ink. This was in game 2, because I kind of anticipated that Zan was going to make it very difficult for me to get the Rapunzel value. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And Zan at one point said to me, like, "You have one card in hand. Is it Rapunzel?" And I was like, "Of course, it was Belle, but yeah."
It's pretty sneaky, sis. But Speci, we're gonna bring you up here to the front, and I need you to explain one thing and one thing only. Where's Maleficent? Okay, why is she not in the deck? That's why you lost. Okay, if you put Mal in there,
that's kind of true.
I think that was your biggest misplay. Okay, not put Maleficent 1 in the deck, man. Okay, I can't believe you didn't do it. But seriously, I really like the deck a lot. I'm glad you brought it. Can you just describe how it went in testing in this matchup? Is it even possible to win this matchup? And how did it go when you were preparing this deck? And what are some highlights that you want to kind of illuminate to the people that are watching right now?
Sure, I think it's like very possible to beat Ruby Sapphire with the setup I've got, but maybe not when it's Zan Syed playing it. I think that might have been the main issue on this occasion. I think that he made it incredibly difficult for me. Obviously, losing the die roll didn't help, but I kind of felt coming into this one I was going to be really up against it. I felt like I was quite forced to take very aggressive mulligans and really try and high roll this one. So like Zan was mentioning just after the game that he was sort of surprised that I wouldn't keep library in opening hand, but I just felt like I just wanted to draw as many Daisy Ducks as possible, as many like one drops early, and then hopefully just draw into the library at the right time. That was kind of my philosophy, like just try and literally high roll the living daylights out of it, particularly when going second. Like I had close to my best possible start really in game one, with like a couple of daisies, and I even have like the option of Pascal. I'm not necessarily sure I made the correct call on my turn 3, where I had the option of going Lantern Pascal, but I opted to go like Snake Daisy. I'm not really sure that. I'm not sure there was much I could have done, to be honest, in the spot, but like maybe the Snake could have been better later with the Pascal. But yeah, the deck's it's deck I actually like theory crafted about 6 months ago. I was playing in Seattle Disney Lorcana Challenge. It's the only one I got to play at, and I really just wanted to play something fun and different. So I actually did like a thought. I knew I wanted to play Amethyst. This was like the meta was very Emerald Steel, Diablo, Steel Song, were kind of like the main decks. And I did a thought experiment where I was like, right, Amethyst has so many good cards. If I could like pick a playset from each ink color, like what would my pick be? Like, so if I pair Amethyst with Steel, I decided Dock was the best card. With like Sapphire, it would be Sail. And I actually decided that Lantern was my choice for Amber, which probably surprises a lot of people. But it's very similar to a Sail when you draw it on curve. It's significantly more clunky, doesn't have as much synergy with locations, but it just allows you to get off to that sort of like unfair start. And in Amethyst mirrors in particular, being able to Elsa like a turn sooner than your opponent and stuff like that can make a big difference. So it's just a deck I had theory crafted for ages, but I'd literally never play tested. I didn't have much time for playtesting. I knew I wanted to play Amethyst, and I thought it was a good opportunity to try and show what Amber Amethyst could do.
Okay. Before I kick it over to Frank, I do have one question. Were you surprised when these deck lists came out? This is our open deck list again. That Zan showed up with Ruby Sapphire. Was that part of your plan, or did you just say, whatever he brings, I'm bringing this deck, and I'm just going to see what happens with it? I feel like I got good matchups all across the board.
No, my deck was very much like a meta read. Like I think the meta was very predictable for this tournament. The one person I would say that wasn't predictable was Zan, actually. I mean, I don't think Moyen was predictable either, but I knew what Moyen was playing. Obviously, he's a good friend of mine, and we were chatting. So I knew what he was playing. I knew very confidently that both Artabax and DKP would pick their pet decks. Like, I think that's quite clear to everybody. Obviously, Artabax played Sapphire Steel in the previous round, but obviously with Emerald Amethyst, in my opinion, looking like one of the best decks in the game, I think that was quite a clear read. Kurt, his main deck that he's known for is Amber Steel, but I actually had a pretty strong gut feeling he would be playing something very anti-Ruby Sapphire. Like, you're playing against TKP. I was surprised he played songs. My gut feeling was he'd play something very anti-Ruby Sapphire, and that also made me feel like Zan wouldn't want to play Ruby Sapphire for that reason, right? So I actually had a gut feeling Zan wouldn't play Emerald Steel. My matchup into Emerald Steel was actually pretty bad, but I definitely tried to tech for it a bit with like the Bells, for example. I wasn't really wanting to play, but they just felt like good top decks. Like something like Piglet and Goat wouldn't be particularly impactful in that matchup. So the Emerald Steel was definitely in my head a little bit. I didn't expect Ruby Sapphire. My kind of approach to this tournament was DKP is going to lose round 1. I do not need to play against Ruby Sapphire in this tournament, and therefore it is a waste of time teching for that matchup, and I should just focus on the final 2 games if I get that far and try and be like teched out for Amethyst Mirrors. That was kind of my intuition in some ways.
Okay. Before Frank, you got any questions for Speci before I throw it back over to Zan? Because I have some other things I want to ask the DLC champ before we start to wrap this thing.
I have 2 quick things to ask. First, tying into what you just explained, Speci, on how this particular deck was quite metagamed for this particular LCCC field. If there are any viewers that might be interested in taking this deck to their local stores, or perhaps indeed playing it on Pixelborn, would you recommend any changes? Like you mentioned, cards like Piglet or Goat. Would you recommend putting those in and taking specific cards out, or how would you view or approach that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing a deck at locals, you need to be able to beat Ruby Sapphire, right? And as evidenced, my deck didn't have what it takes to do that. So definitely like lowering the curve overall. Like you saw, I ended up in some very clunky spots where like I had two or three cards in hand and kind of nothing. There was never a turn I could go like 2 cards at once and really apply some pressure and threaten lethal, like force the B prep. So I think just like a lower curve overall, right? Like you need to cut some of the top end cards, like the bells. I think the crabs could also be reduced in count. Goat, I think, is very strong with Lantern, particularly like obviously you didn't really see the card draw potential of my deck, but against most decks in the meta, like Rapunzel can draw you a lot. Like it's kind of unavoidable when you have rush evasive cards and things like this. Overall, just like lower curve, I think. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Maleficent one drop wouldn't be the worst idea, JD. I've got to say, mate, you might be onto something there. Maybe a few Lilos.
No, maybe. Well, just one Maleficent would already.
For sure, I think at least just a one of, man. You got. I mean, that's you made that. Yeah, that's your card, man. You got to play it, man. At this point, I was disappointed not to see it.
The other question I had, Speci, was when playing this matchup, especially when you were going into, for example, in the second game into the turn where Zan had 7, was gonna have 7 ink. You were kind of squeezed between either Be Prepared or like a Maui Half Shark that could gain Rush with the Vitalosphere. In the second game, you ended up playing Iago, which then got swept up by the Be Prepared. Can you walk us through your thought process on how you were like approaching those turns and the decisions on whether to still commit characters or not?
Yeah. Not for turn 1, I really respected the Vitalosphere as much as I should have. I was kind of going through the motions. So I'm not sure there was probably a bad part of my gameplay in that point. Like I didn't really evaluate necessarily everything that was on the board. So I think that's probably something I need to work on in general. Just like ensuring, I know exactly what's on the board. Like a little Vitalosphere was kind of easy to forget about, but it proved to be very impressive. Game 2, I was definitely more aware of it. I kind of just decided that like I need to force the B prep or I'm kind of losing. Like if he just keeps doing the half shark, I can't remember the exact board state, but I remember developing Iago and I was like, okay, well, if I play the Iago, he's probably going to B prep and then at least I can try and reset and get, just about cross the finish line with the right draws. Like I remember at one point when I inked the crab, I wasn't really sure it was necessarily correct to, but I was just kind of hoping that maybe he banishes my Diablo. I can develop Bell and a 1-drop if I like really high roll. Like I draw a 1-drop, I draw ink, I can go Bell 1-drop and maybe force the win. But yeah, I think like overall, I think he put me in a really tight spot with those decisions. I kind of feel like both of them, whatever I did, didn't feel good. And in game 2, I just definitely decided that like, all right, if he's got B prep, he's got B prep. But like, there's nothing I could really do about that. I kind of just hoped he didn't, and that maybe opened up an opportunity if he didn't have it.
Well,
yeah, you were indeed put into difficult spots where kind of regardless of what you would do, you would be in a very tough position to still try to win the game.
Zan played very well.
Too powerful once you get to the mid to late game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and credit to Zan's deck building as well, right? Like the Bell and the Vitalosphere, I think in particular, are like two things you don't see very often in Ruby Sapphire, but you really saw them. They were the stars of the show in many ways. I mean, I think the Maui Half Shark was, but Bell and Vitalosphere definitely deserve a lot of the credit, I think.
For sure. But Speci, I think honestly, you got to look at what you've done here at this tournament, and you have to hang your head up high. Your run does end here, but still, I think you achieved your goal. You showed that you can still play off meta and still have some.
I didn't achieve my goal, man. I wanted to win.
I know you want to win it all. I know you want to win it all, but still, you made it. You made it quite far. But the run does come to a stop here. However, Zan Syed, you're going to be moving on. You're going on over to the down bracket finals, the losers finals. You're going to be playing against your teammate and friend Kurt Spice. Any idea how that matchup's going to go? You saw his deck list. He did take out another one of your friends and teammates this morning, playing a very similar strategy. Can you just illuminate some idea of what you think that matchup's going to be like and how you think it's going to go, as it's going to be happening sometime within the next week or so?
I think it's bad for me.
Yeah.
I would probably say I give it a 60-40 in his favor. It's gonna really come down to the die roll, and then like I think my biggest strength is Amber Steel songs after since set 3 has kind of like had worse and worse consistency draws, and I think that if he draws like 2 or 3 whole new
Like
worlds,
Zach Bivens.
exactly. If those consistency draws are in my favor, I think that'll give me a good shot. But I do think I'm pretty unfavored.
Okay, but I think you got what it takes, man. And what is your camera setup like, man? That thing is sitting. Is it on a telescope? Where is that thing at in your house right now? It seems like it's on the roof. I gotta know.
It's I'm in the basement,
Okay.
and I have like a what do you call it, webcam attached to one of those wear things that you're supposed that people use to stream card games,
Ah,
and
okay.
then I have like a little circle thing above it, so it's supposed to prevent glare, but I moved it, and so I have like a light that ended up getting past it, but yeah, uh
Okay.
hopefully I have all the stuff. I just gotta set it a little bit
No, that's
better.
okay. We're just it's a meme at this point because your camera seems like it's getting higher and higher and higher as each round goes by, and it's just
Oh yeah.
it's something that we like to point out. But gentlemen, man, I just want to thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart for coming out and sacrificing your time to participate in these LCCCs. As I mentioned in the preamble of this stream, they're very important, and a lot of people take these things incredibly serious, man. So sacrifice your time to come out and do something for the community. It means a whole lot. And we are about to wrap this thing up. Speci, your run does come to an end here. I thought you did very well. You want to give any special shout outs before we start to sign this thing up and wrap it on out? Or sign it out, wrap it, whatever. You know the vibes.
I know the vibes. No, big thank you to everyone involved, like all the judges. Obviously, big congratulations to Zan. I thought they very much deserved the victory. Thanks to the casters. I'm looking forward to going to listen back to it. To Pavel for organizing, to everyone for watching, but a very special shout out in particular to Mr. Jan Moyen, who has helped me prep throughout this tournament. Not with the deck lists. I think he would have told me to play different decks every time, but certainly helping. He beat me. I think it needs to be known I went 2-32 or something in testing against Moyen throughout the course of this tournament.
Shit.
So the fact I went into every match feeling in a pretty bad spot, I managed to get this far, so I'll take it. But big thank you to him for being a very good testing partner.
Absolutely. And we're going to kick it over to Zan Syed. Any special shout outs you want to give before we sign it on off?
Thank you to my sponsor, World Class Cards. Thank you to you guys. Thank you for commentating, and thank you to Pavel, the judges, of course, Speci. I think that it's only a matter of time before you get the results that you want. And yeah, thank you to the people who helped me test. Aaron Rubin, Jeremy Bertarioni, Nathan Tripp. Yeah, very effective, and
Absolutely. And everyone out there still watching, if you haven't already done so, make sure you guys go and check out both of these players. They both are not only phenomenal players, but they're both content creators as well. So I know Speci was streaming his point of view, so that's going to be something I want to go back and watch. And also make sure you tune into the Club Lorcana podcast. Okay, they did a very special episode a couple of days ago. It's really, really cool. I encourage everyone to go over there and check that out if you haven't already done so. Zan is on there, and I really appreciate both you guys for not being just great players, but also putting out great content and helping out the next players get a little bit better, and that just goes a long way.
Thank you so much.
All right,
much appreciated, guys. Have a lovely rest of your day. I appreciate you.
All right.
Bye.
But Frank, we're back. We are back into the booth. Is that how you thought that would go? What are your overarching thoughts on how that matchup went down?
I would have expected Speci to at least take a game on the play, but yeah, as it turns out, it was not to be. I think ultimately, without proper answers to Maui Half Shark and also a weakness to be prepared, It feels like Zan has all the tools he needs in order to have an edge in this matchup, and that is also kind of how it played out. Now, before we also talked about the upcoming matches. Note that you can find the deck lists of all the players, as well as the whole bracket and the upcoming schedule on lccc.live. That is the overview website where you can find everything. With many thanks to Pavel for setting all this up. And yeah, I just cannot wait to see who will ultimately be crowned the next LCCC champion. We'll still have some exciting matches coming up over the course of the next days and weeks.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for saying that. And huge shout out to Pavel, and huge shout out to the judges and everyone who makes this thing happen. LCCC Live, it's up if you guys want to see the decks. And also make sure you get into the Discord and tune in and be a part of the community, because it is an absolute nice time to join. We're on our way upward and in an active way. And thank you guys for coming in and tuning in to the stream. We are going to prepare a raid, so I think it might cut a little bit off because we do have this delay thing that's going on. So what I might have to do is just kind of awkwardly end here, and then from there we'll just have to let it run out, and then we'll do the raid, or we might raid and just have it just cut some of the parts off. It's kind of strange. But Frank, I gotta say, I learned so much from being here beside you, and if you ever need an opportunity to come out here and share some of more of your knowledge to the Lorcana space, please feel free to use me as a vessel, and I will be able to try to harness some of that energy for good. And I think it was
my pleasure.
It was
this was a blast.
Absolutely, it was too much fun. And joining from Villain all day, you're all day out here, man. It was a whole day commitment. So I truly thank you for coming out and doing that. But we're about to wrap this thing up, Frank. Any other shout outs you want to give before we sign on off?
Well, just another shout out to Pavel for organizing it all, and indeed, well, everyone involved. If you want to find my content, I write about Lorcana on a monthly basis on the TCG Player website, which is also an excellent way of finding all your cards on in the United States. Find me on Twitter at Karsten_Frank, but honestly, just follow the players who are gonna be crushing it in the final rounds. Zan and Kurt, very talented players. Moyen and Artabox, also some of the best from Europe. So give everyone who's still in contention, a big follow.
Okay. I like that a lot. So I think we have to, I don't know if I have to awkwardly sit here. I think we have to awkwardly sit here. I think I can stop it because this is all going to get cut off, and we have to sit here for a little bit of time. So what I'll do, I'll go back to the starting stream and I'll let that run for a little while, and then we'll raid in so it doesn't cut off everyone abruptly, and then we can do it like that. So thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm JDZ. I'm on a quest. Shout out to all the real ones. Salute to the OGs, and peace. All right.